We are joined this evening by Penpa Tsering. He's the elected head of the Tibetan Government-in-Exile. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Sik Kyong of the Central Tibetan Administration. Mr. Tsering, thank you very much. Thank you. You hold immense power.
Thank you for having me.
And you are truly the representative of the Tibetan people. How do you view China's nervousness about the reincarnation of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama?
I think that is the power of nonviolence and truth combined together, and with persistence. The nonviolence is a means to resolve all kinds of conflicts. If you look at the violent conflicts that are going on around the world today, you don't know whether you are really resolving one problem or you are creating more problems for future. So nonviolence as a means is very powerful, and when you have truth on your side, historical truth on your side, then it really jitters the Chinese, because they are on very thin ground when it comes to the historical status of Tibet, the continued repression of the Tibetans inside Tibet, destruction of the Tibetan people's identity, the language that came from India, the Tibetan language came from India, Devanagari script in 7th century, and we transliterated almost every available Sanskrit and Pali Buddhist text from 8th to 13th century before Buddhism almost vanished out of India. So we are proud to be one part of ancient Indian wisdom, and that even that China claims that it came from China, which is totally false claim of the origin of Tibetan Buddhism, even though Buddhism did spread to China much before it spread to India some 3-4 centuries before. But the Tibetan Buddhism that we practice in Tibet is the Nalanda tradition of Buddhism here in India. So we are proud to be a repository of one part of ancient Indian wisdom, and all these, I think, angles of...
they're issuing threats, Mr. Tsering. They're almost sounding violent in their language. You talk about non-violence. However, they say their argument is that the Chinese Communist Party will decide the reincarnation as per Chinese law. Now, there was no Chinese Communist Party in ancient Buddhist tradition. So I don't know where the logic is, but they claim that only the Chinese premier has the right to decide the next Dalai Lama. Is there anything historical or by precedent which can, sort of strengthen their claim? I find none.
Yeah, there are three claims that China is making. One, that they will look for His Holiness reincarnation within China or within Tibet. And there you already have cases of the third Dalai Lama being born in Mongolia. You have the sixth Dalai Lama born in India, in Tawang. So you have earlier Dalai Lamas who have been born outside Tibet. So that is, again, a false claim that they should look for only. That is why the response from His Holiness is that he will be born in a free world. The second thing the Chinese government says is that they should use the golden urn. Now, golden urn was introduced only in 1793, when there was some influence of the Manchus over the Tibetans way back in 1793. But there were 8 Dalai Lamas before 1793, and there were Dalai Lamas up to the 14th. So does the Chinese government to say that the 8 Dalai Lamas before 1793 were not Dalai Lamas? In that case, that was the real tradition of how we select the Dalai Lamas. Chinese interfered, but even then it was a Qing dynasty and they were Buddhists. But right now, the government that wants to interfere in the selection of what they call as living Buddhas or reincarnated Lamas in our case is completely absurd.
Do you think the Tibetans, will face more repression, more violence from the Chinese? I mean, those who are there under Chinese occupation, Chinese after the invasion. Do you think the Tibetans there will face more repression? Because the Chinese have killed so many Tibetans over the years. All those who resist them have been killed and imprisoned, and they've been, estimates are up to 100,000 Tibetans killed. Lhasa is under curfew. Do you think things will get worse going forward with the Tibetans who are under Chinese occupation?
So far, the Tibetans have remained non-violent. It's mainly because His Holiness restrains them from taking up violence, because His Holiness says that if you take up violence, then I will no more be responsible for We often get asked question whether Tibetans will get radicalized because of too much repression from the
yes.
Chinese side. That's very much possible. If this 14th Dalai Lama has to die in exile, I think that will strike a lot of emotions within Tibet, and there will be nobody else to control
Yes.
the Tibetans inside Tibet as much as His Holiness used to do so. So we are afraid of what could be the consequences if His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama has to die in exile.
Well, we wish him a long life, and we wish an end to Chinese repression.
His Holiness is committed to living long. He keeps reassuring us that he will live for 2 decades and more. And in the last 1-2 months, he has been saying, "I'll live up to 130." So I keep telling the Chinese, this message is for you. You are waiting for this Dalai Lama
I
to
know,
die,
it's
and
so
His Holiness
terrible
thinks,
to
"I'm
behave
going to
like
live
this, yeah.
very
They should
long."
wish him a
So
long life.
we have to decide
They
now.
should wish him a
whether
long life, but they're so
communism
insecure.
outlives
They're so insecure.
Whether communism outlives His Holiness or His Holiness outlives His Holiness, that is something we have to watch out.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Tsering. Thank you very much. That's the President of the Tibetan Government-in-Exile, Penpa Tsering, joining us this evening.